And welcome back, everyone. We're basically now finishing up the Losers Death Battle and the Who Would Win tournament. Losers Tournament, to be precise. Now, I'm just going to adjust that real quick. A little over there. And just sort of it's a bit more centered. I've decided to finish it up mostly because really we'd get to basically these semifinals and the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the normal finals after this. This isn't going to take me anything more than maybe 10 minutes at most. So I'm like, might as well just get it out of the way right now. Do it all. So let's just, and remember, this is all my opinion, by the way, so no one get on my case. So we had the first matchup in the first half, which was Ben 10 versus Sonic the Hedgehog. To me, again, when you're talking about a Ben 10 versus anything, it's ultimately going to come down to Alien X versus whoever he's fighting. Sonic's super form is powerful, but Alien X is basically high universal, low multiversal, or mid multiversal minimum. Alien X can literally survive the wiping out of a universe and then recreate a universe. Like Alien X is pretty near impossible to beat in many respects. So Ben 10 won that. Then you had Thor versus Hulk. Now this one was very difficult for me. Now it says Doctor Strange on the actual versus chart, but I made a mistake there because I forgot I had given Hulk the win. But Hulk versus Thor, these guys have actually duked it out many times, and the winner is kind of always ambiguous. Hulk ultimately is stronger than Thor in the long haul. Thor, though, in the short haul and like through the probably the like early to mid fight is probably the stronger individual between him and Hulk, though, especially with Mjolnir in hand. So who wins that fight? Well, if it's a knockdown, drag-out brawl, Hulk probably is going to win that fight. Probably. That said, it is still relatively difficult to pinpoint exactly who is the ultimate winner, just because Thor's bit can be overpowered and beaten by stronger individuals like gods, which Thor does qualify as. Just normally speaking, Thor isn't capable of beating him most of the time. Again, in a long fight, which this would probably be. So I give that win to Hulk. Then we had Goku versus Wonder Woman. Again, a pretty tough fight when you really look at both of these characters. Because, I mean, physically, she probably is stronger than Goku, but Goku obviously can amp his physical abilities with Ki. His base form alone is as strong as what it is at minimum as strong as it was in the Battle of Gods when it became a Super Saiyan God, because he absorbed it into his base. And in that level of power, he's able to literally destroy the universe 9 times over from the shockwaves of the fight alone. Add on to the fact that I'd argue he's probably the better fighter hand to hand. She's lived longer and is a skilled melee fighter, but I'd probably say because he's a true martial artist, whereas she is a warrior. Her swordsmanship would definitely be a problem for him, but the fact of the matter is, his power ultimately gained the height of Universal, the level of Universal, whereas hers has never really been that strong. So, yeah, Wonder Woman lost that fight. Now, Ichigo got a bye. He ultimately will end up facing off against Goku in the quarterfinals. Thanos versus Galaxia. This pretty much came down to, can she overpower the Infinity Gauntlet? Because that's what we're looking at with Thanos here, him with the Infinity Gauntlet. And no, her powers really, yes, she's roughly speaking more powerful than she's several times above Universal, but in terms of her power output, but she herself is not immune to any sort of effects the Gauntlet could deliver, just because we have no evidence she's immune to anything the Gauntlet could deliver. Like reality warping, we have no evidence she's could survive that. Hell, Galactus is beyond a universal being. He's a multiversal being, and yet he got completely turned to stone. The only individuals who were ever able to match or exceed the power of the Infinity Gauntlet were the Living Tribunal and the One Above All. That's it. And Galaxia certainly is kind of near those powers, but she isn't at that power. Add on to the fact that none of her abilities would do anything to Thanos. Her ability to fire her energy blast, he can control energy with a power stone. The ability to steal soul seeds and or crystal seeds or whatever, I can't remember what they're called. Basically, take over people's minds or steal their star seed, whatever, or moon's crystals, or I can't remember what they are. But anyway, yes, Soul Stone protects them from that. Any mind control, Mind Stone protects them from that. And then you factor in he can manipulate time, reality, space, power, mind, soul. Yeah, no, that she can't match up to him with the Infinity Gauntlet. Raiden versus Sasuke. This is very interesting. So we know Sasuke's lightning actually would just fizzle out against him. But the problem for Raiden is the fact that Sasuke has far more than lightning. Hell, Amaterasu alone probably would take Raiden down because he has no real think words here. He's got no real counter for Amaterasu. Susanoo, he can't take on a Susanoo. As powerful as it is, he's not capable of doing that. We don't know if he has any real advantage or resistance or countermeasure for our Sharingan illusions. Then you have to factor in his Rinnegan as well. Add all that onto his ninja skills. Yes, powerful as Raiden is, he does not make it out of the fight against Sasuke. And then, if I remember correctly, that was the end of those fights there. Oh, wait, we're missing one here. My bad. Lobo versus Cable. Where the hell did that fight go? I believe... I must have... Oh, wait, there it is. Missed it. Yeah, Lobo versus Cable. This one to me actually is pretty simple. This one goes to Lobo because Cable has nothing to put Lobo down. None of his weaponry is going to ultimately kill Lobo. And his psychic abilities actually, I don't think, are enough to take on Lobo's. As Lobo's put it, he's too ornery for most mind control. Even on the level of that Cable has, I don't think his mind control would ultimately work very well on Cable. And on the fact that Cable is, on Lobo, sorry. And on to that, the fact that Lobo is far more brutal and far more visceral and vicious than Cable is. And will pretty much just do anything to win. And the fact that you just can't put the guy down pretty much until you pretty much annihilate him, and then he's still a ghost. Yeah, I go Lobo in that fight. So now we came to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals start off with Ben 10 versus the Hulk. So Alien X versus the Hulk. The question then becomes, is the Hulk strong enough to take down Alien X? I actually would argue yes. If Hulk can destroy a universe like 100 and some odd times over, then he should, in theory, be able to take on Alien X, especially in pure raw physical strength. I actually don't think Alien X, even with its reality warping capabilities, could take on the Hulk physically. The problem, though, for Hulk is that Alien X can manipulate reality. He could just blink and erase the Hulk, honestly. He could. That's the problem here, is that if he needed to, he would just erase. Now, we know like characters like Hal Jordan can survive like canon erasures like that, but the Hulk doesn't have an ability that lets him do that. Like, just survive being erased from existence. That's not the way the Hulk works. So, unfortunately, for the Hulk, Ben 10 got that one. Goku versus Ichigo. I love Ichigo, man, but Goku's power's on a whole nother level. Even if we were to argue that Ichigo's power maybe is on a universe level, which I don't think it is. Yuwak's was. In fact, Yuwak was actually on like a multi-planar, multi-universal level. But his durability, but that was like his power, and it wasn't necessarily, it was a weird thing. The last arc of Bleach got very much rushed because of Kubo's health issues. But just because Ichigo was able to cut him down doesn't make him technically universal, even though Yuwak was. Or Yuwak, depending on your pronunciation. But even if we argue that he was universal, Goku's power very much exceeds whatever level of power we've seen Ichigo display in terms of universal power. Goku has literally started shattering the very fabric of the universe, ripping it apart with just the clash of his power output alone. Ichigo has never shown anything like that. So yeah, Goku took that win. So then we had Sasuke versus Thanos. I don't think we really have to argue this at all. It is Thanos who wins this. Nothing Sasuke could... Now, here's the one thing I could say. Because the Rinnegan he has, or the Rin Sharingan, or Shar Rinnegan, I can always say Sharingan, but it's a Rin Sharingan, whatever, can send him to other dimensions. In theory, he could take Thanos and put him into another dimension where the Infinity Stones are useless. So, there is that. The problem is, there is nothing Sasuke can dish out at this guy that can do anything to him. At best, maybe he could get him in a Genjutsu temporarily, but it really wouldn't do him. Thanos is way too intelligent, way too crafty to fall for that. Amaterasu, he's been thrown in a freaking sun before, and he's come out. He's survived a dip in a black hole, for God's sake. If anything, he gets set on fire. He just grabs Sasuke and lets him be set on fire. Susanoo, he survived point-blank blasts from Black Bolt, who can blow up planets with his voice, and the worst he got was a nosebleed. He's got toe-to-toe with Galactus. Thanos on his own, no. Sasuke cannot beat him at all. Not at all. No. And that's assuming Sasuke even gets a chance to teleport into another dimension. So, yeah. Shadow versus Lobo. They're both edgelords, man. They're both edgy and powerful. Lobo takes that fight, though. Although, Super Shadow is very powerful. Absolutely. He is certainly would be able to actually beat up Lobo very well, but unless he's able to actually vaporize Lobo entirely, which is possible, though unlikely given the power up we've actually seen from him, Lobo's just going to regenerate from that and beat the living crap out of him. Ultimately, I would go Lobo in that fight. Now, I didn't actually finish out the pairings beyond that, but basically our semifinal matches would be Ben 10 versus Goku. Alien X versus Super Saiyan Blue or Ultra Instinct Goku would be seriously busted, and like they'd be wrecking the universe. But the problem here is that, again, Alien X can literally just erase Goku from existence if it really chooses to. Or if Ben really chooses to. And in a fight to the death, Ben would have to choose to. So, again, we have not seen really a display of power. I mean, we know, though, that individuals can resist the Hakai, which can wipe you from existence in Dragon Ball. So if you're strong enough. So in theory, you could make the argument that Goku could resist it. So then that begs the question, if he does resist being basically erased, is he able to beat Alien X? Well, Alien X can also rewind time, still affect the fabric of reality itself. Ultimately, it's a level of power that Goku just can't compete with long term, because unlike Alien X, Goku does have limited stamina. Alien X kind of doesn't. So that's actually where even though he might be able to survive an erasure from Alien X, he can't survive ultimately of a long haul fight just because he'll tire out where Alien X won't. So that gives us to Lobo versus Thanos. Again, Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet can just erase and steal Lobo's soul. So yeah, that's a non-starter pretty much right there. Which leads us now to the final match. Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet versus Alien X. Now, this is actually very interesting, because so long as they are in said universe, anything Alien X can do, the Infinity Gauntlet can just cancel out. That's the weird thing here, is that even though Alien X is technically a multiversal being, it's one of those things where so was Galactus. And now, if Alien X tried to target the Gauntlet, that's the question right there. That's the question for all the money right there. Could Alien X get rid of the Infinity Stones? I'm going to say, See, the problem is, if he tries to, I know Thanos is going to try to counter that as well. Because, to be honest, as cool as that fight with him and Darkseid is, they did not portray Thanos in a good light. Like, they did not portray him as, like, the character he really is, intelligent and all that. I would say yes, Alien X could destroy the stones, but I actually think Thanos snaps him out of existence before that. And and let's be clear too, it's one of those things where Alien X tries to erase him, he tries to erase Alien X. They both can counter each other, but they can basically just do everything the other can. It's a matter of the intelligence behind it. And to be honest, Ben is nowhere near as smart as Thanos is. So Thanos has thousands of years of experience and intelligence and, creativity with the gauntlet would actually be Ben's undoing, because for all of Ben's abilities as Alien X, it is all dependent on Ben himself. Just as Thanos' abilities with the gauntlet are all dependent on Thanos' abilities himself. So ultimately, I think Thanos does win. Now I'm going to get a lot of people argue, Alien X is multiversal. The Infinity Gauntlet wouldn't work on it. You just do this and this. I get it, but remember, Galactus and the Eternals that showed up to fight him in the Infinity Gauntlet saga were multiversal as well. And guess what? he just turned them asses into statues. The living embodiments of infinity, eternity, um, let's see here. I think Madness and the others, they could not take on Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, Alien X is multiversal, but doesn't really matter in this case. Add on to the fact that don't forget, Alien X is still just a construct of the Omnitrix. Basically, Thanos could in fact deduce that it's a device that turned Ben into this. Actually, he wouldn't even deduce. He would know it was the device that turned Ben into this. So he could just snap the Omnitrix out of existence. Even though the Omnitrix is technically multiversal too, he can maybe just remove the Omnitrix itself with some reality warping. So, and you might say, it's like, well, the Omnitrix got a failsafe device. Hey, the failsafe device does not warrant a reality warping. Let's be very clear about that. It's a failsafe to prevent him from being killed, not to basically prevent reality warping. He just removes the watch from. That's actually, I think, the biggest thing here is that Thanos would just remove the watch from Ben's body with the gauntlet. The watch itself is not multiversal in terms of what the level of damage it can take. The watch itself has been destroyed before, for God's sake. So, yeah, granted by its own doing, but still. So yeah, the more I talk about this, the more I'm like, no, yeah, Thanos actually kind of wins this one outright, I think. Even though Alien X could easily rival the Gauntlet and match the Gauntlet, it's kind of a non-starter. Because it's like the minute he goes into Alien X and is showing off that he can do whatever the Gauntlet does, Thanos just, rewinds time, somewhat Alien X might, and just removes the watch from the beginning. And it's like, okay, there you go. And he's like, well, he can't remove the watch. It's like, yeah, with the Gauntlet? Oh, yeah, he could. Don't fanboy that. With the Infinity Gauntlet, oh, Thanos could remove that watch without any difficulty. So ultimately, for the losers tournament of Death Battle, I give it to Thanos. But what do you think? Do you think after all is said and done, did I call it right? Did I get Thanos being the winner? Did I call it right? Or do you agree that Alien X should have won? Or do you agree that Goku should have won? Or do you agree that, I don't know, what was it? Sam Fisher should have won. Or Pinkie Pie. Or, Deadpool. Or a Goomba, who I didn't have in this. Who do you think should have ultimately won if you don't agree with my choice? Put in the comments below and let me know. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And hit that bell if you want to be notified. So thanks for watching. And I got a bunch of videos I got to do. So thanks and see you later.